Hello and welcome to my prop comparison. It's been a while since I've done one, but I figured I have two animatronic ghost props that both have a forward jump scare. They are so similar yet so different. I'm just going to start off with a demo of both of them at the same time. So one goes a lot further than the other. This one basically just leans forward. This one has this huge arm on the back. It's like an extra large piece that just kind of like extends it to fly over past its base, which is crazy and the first of its kind. Now, when you start building this one, you might think it's almost the same mechanism, except that it's missing this whole big extension piece, because they both use the same sort of driving force to bring them forward. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Emmeline here is almost better in every way, but that's what you get when you pay double the price of what this is, because this is normally, I need to unplug them. This one is normally like 170 bucks. And then this one is almost $300. Now with the 20% off coupon, it is $250. So it's not double this one's price, but like it's pretty up there. It's pretty high, it's pretty pricey. That's the word, good job, Truman. Now with the bigger animatronic, it's gonna be a lot harder to deal with, because since this flies forward basically off of its base, there's no way they could make a base big enough or long enough or thick enough to withstand the pressure for a reasonable price. So you add a bunch of weight onto it. And that's what you have to do. They come with sandbags, but that's barely enough. I would recommend adding more weight. And that just makes this one really hard to move. Once you place it in its spot and add all the weight, that's where it's gonna stay. Unless you want to deal with taking off all the weight and then moving it again. This one, since it is smaller, it doesn't need any weight at all. Its base is long enough and it withstands the pressure just fine, since it basically just lurches forward. Something that's fundamentally different about this one, according to its kind of jump scare angle, it's definitely directed towards like kids, whereas this one goes eye to eye with me once it has just like fully come out. So basically that's all to say. This is pretty much the budget version of this. Let's look at them when they're just totally sideways so that you can kind of tell what the mechanisms are doing. Okay, let me activate them both at the same time and you should be able to see, you can already see the massive difference. Like this looks like a regular character with just with a longer front base. This one has a totally different build in order to accommodate its much further reaching jump scare. It is shocking how far this one goes. Like you're surprised in person when you see it, and then it goes further than you think it's gonna go. You think it's gonna stop, but it keeps coming at you. This one kind of ends exactly where you would expect it, but it is fast enough and loud enough that it still will scare you, especially if you're short enough to be in eye line with it. Now let's see them both go. As you can see, Emmeline goes completely off screen. Like that's how far it goes. This one is like giving Mutant a hug over here. Now, obviously, just now you saw it with a smaller scare. It has a smaller reset. It goes back much faster. I think that this one is absolutely worth the like extra price that you'd be paying compared to this one. But this isn't without its merits because like what I listed, with the smaller size and smaller scare, it is a lot more convenient to move around and fit in places. And also, not to mention, this one's arms are totally posable and Emmeline's arms are hardly posable. They're pretty like strong. Emmeline does have a generally more interesting design, although they're both like ghosts. This one isn't a skeleton. It's some creepy girl with some weird mouth with teeth that go all around. And that's just a more interesting design than a typical skeleton reaper ghost thing. Now, since they're totally different in their kind of budget and scare size, it totally depends on your specific scenario, which one works better for you. So honestly, I would recommend both. It just depends on what fits your haunted house or display. Because this one, you need a lot of back room for. This one kind of fits anywhere. You just place it down and it'll do the scare, and it's not particularly dangerous. For example, this one is fairly dangerous. You need a kind of gate in front of it because people stand right in front of it expecting it to not go as far as Emmeline goes because it's very unusual. Although a barrier kind of gives it away, it still scares the crap out of people. This one's not nearly as complicated. There's something I'd like to note though, is the difference in sensor, because this one has a far superior sensor. It's the very common, very standard, just motion sensor. This one is a sound and light one, which I really wished was just out of date and weren't being used again, but they use it on this one. Like, that's why I had to clap for them to activate, because that one needed the noise, which is really not good for a jump scare animatronic. You want it to be a motion sensor so that when people move in front of it, then it'll go off at them. People aren't gonna be making a ton of noise right in front of it. Especially if it's in a haunted house and there's already just a bunch of noise being made, then it's just gonna be activated over and over again. It's gonna only affect like 50% of the people. So I would totally recommend, if you got this one, get a external sensor to go with it. I mean, you're gonna have to get a extra adapter to go with it anyways, so might as well. Which is a big downside to Big Lots animatronics, is that they don't come with an adapter. You're gonna have to buy one yourself. It's a 6-volt. So it does come off as a kind of incomplete product, but for what it's trying to be, it kind of executes it perfectly. There's nothing particularly wrong with it other than its sound and light sensor and lack of adapter cord. Both those things can be fixed, but it is very annoying to have to deal with those things. Whereas over here, you get a huge jump scare, everything's included, and it's just like, I don't know, take your pick. Personally, this one is my favorite, but I see the value in this one, and I intend on keeping it, and it'll be a kind of like jump scare before this one, which is kind of like a finale jump scare. And that is my whole review. I hope I helped you make a decision on an animatronic and kind of decide which one is better for you. And I shall see you in the next video. Subscribe!